all your school rugby, all in one place. This is Next Gen 50.
Alright guys, welcome to Next Gen 15. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a Baby Boks squad prediction for the 2022 season. So if you are new to our channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification. And as soon as new videos are released, you'll be the first to know. So just in terms of a squad composition, generally these are 28 player squads. I've basically looked at previous compositions and essentially came across something like this. We're going to go with 4 outside backs, 3 centers, 2 fly halves, 3 scrum halves, 6 loose forwards, 4 locks, 2 hookers, and then finally 4 props. So it's not quite well known yet whether there is going to be a international under 20 world championship. I hope there is, because I do believe that we have the talent this year to bring home the gold in terms of South Africa. But that remains to be seen. And if there is an internal series, I'd very much like to see a bit of a higher quality of opposition than has come here before. Because I do believe that it's essential for these players' development that they play the best under 20 teams in the world. Otherwise, they're obviously in danger of lagging behind. So look, guys, in terms of the squad, trying to get into the mind of Coach Bafana Nhleko. Obviously, this guy's done an outstanding job in the short time that he's had with the under 20s. Highly respected, highly rated coach. So you could sort of say this is a combination of what I think he'll do as well as what I'd like to see him to do. But there's just so many quality youngsters out there, so it's very tough to leave anyone out. And, it's very hard to explain to outsiders, to international audience, just in terms of the sheer depth that exists within South African school rugby. Now, a lot of these guys may fall along the wayside after school level, but from what I saw in the under-20 competition last year, there still is a heck of a lot of quality out there. So it's very, very difficult to do a task like this. So once there is an under-20 squad that's named, obviously we'll be doing an analysis video on that, and let's see what the score is, so to speak. Anyway, let's get into the video. So outside backs, first name I got on the list is Curwin Gertse. He was part of the mix last year. Weather conditions definitely didn't suit him. Very wet conditions. One of the best schoolboy wings I've seen in years, guys. I mean, the guy's vision and awareness was just fantastic. Could find space so well. I don't think he's been utilized very well at the Sharks. I mean, look, there's a lot of talent at the Sharks. I just don't know what's happening to some of the players there, but the talent's just not going to disappear. And hopefully with the recruits they've got this year with, some serious talent, we can see the Sharks sort of perform to expectation. Next up, Paschal Ekeji has to be there. Now, he wasn't part of the mix last year, and some people were surprised by that admission. And he wasn't part of the initial training squad, but I do anticipate him being part of the mix this year. I mean, he's already made his senior Currie Cup debut, very highly rated in the Cape, coming on in leaps and bounds, humble, good youngster as well, worked hard, deserves his opportunity. I mean, he came from a small unknown school, played for the Cherries for a while, broke into the first team. I think he would have been an absolute key player for them in the 2020 season. But obviously due to the situation wasn't able to fulfill his potential, and just comes from an absolutely lethal sporting family. I mean, younger brother's something very special, and has got a sister who's an exceptional netball player as well. So, those West African genetics are definitely suiting South African sport for the future. Very excited about Paschal's future. Whether or not he makes the squad, still I think he's got a fantastic future in the game. Then Matthew Jacobs. Matthew's one of the most exciting fullbacks that I saw for quite some time. I think the combination between him and Curwin, who've been playing together for ages, they just got a great understanding. I think last year there was a specialist fullback was lacking, and Matthew's definitely a specialist fullback. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, what it did do is it did unleash Q and Horn, who just proved to everybody like what an outstanding player he was. He was an absolutely fantastic fullback. But I think someone specialised this year should be in the mix, and Matthew definitely ticks the boxes. A lot of pace, plays very well with Curwin. I think they can combine extremely well. Then my last outside back, Suleiman Hartzenberg. He played centre last year, but I think the same thing will happen. I think in his under 17 year, he would have played wing for SA Schools, and then last year he would have played centre for SA Schools. I anticipate a similar scenario. Yeah, I think he'll play as a winger for SA under 20, in his under 19 year, and then probably next year maybe move on to centre. You'll see if a couple of other players I've mentioned had a similar pathway as well. Outstanding talent. I'm 120% certain that he'll be in the squad. Like I said in my Young Guns video, I do believe that he'll be one of the first players in his age groups, if not the first, to actually wear the green and gold. He's a really exceptional talent. Centres. First up, Ethan James, another guy that just, automatically that he's going to be there. Another Pohlmann player. Can you imagine that Pohlmann backline in 2020, guys? So many special players that we never got the opportunity to see play. Very disappointing. But Ethan's outstanding. Played very well on the wing last year. Anticipating moving to centre this year, probably on the outside, where he's going to form a lethal combination, likely with the next player, Mambo Mkhize. South Africa's answer to Sonny Bull Williams, in my opinion. Excellent hands, excellent distribution, great offload, fantastic player. But it begs the question, because the next player is arguably one of the most talented backline players in South Africa. I like an Ethan James Mambo Mkhize combination, but Canan Moodie, there has to be place there for him. I'll put him down as a centre. He can cover wing as well. Definitely one of the standouts last year for the Junior Springboks as an under 19 as well. Exceptional talent. Seemed like a natural in making his Currie Cup bow. Scored a try. Lethal finisher. So, he could either be on the wing or he could be as a centre. Who knows? But yeah, I think there's a very, very exciting group over here, guys. And I wouldn't want to be a selector trying to figure things out here. But I do sort of anticipate it either being Mambo and Ethan or Mambo and Canan. But whatever the situation, I feel sorry for opposition teams. FLYHALVES, obviously you guys know first name on the list, Sacha Mngomezulu, one of the best young FLYHALVES, not only in South Africa but on the planet. You sort of felt that maybe the pathway would have been a little bit blocked with Cade Volhitter just coming on, storming onto the scene. But Cade's injury opened up a gap for Sacha. He looks just like an absolute natural on the field. The games that I did see of him in this under 20 series was fantastic. He's improved almost in every facet of his game. I still like the fact that he's got the confidence to try things out and, make mistakes and learn from those mistakes in terms of his tactical kicking especially. But he's got time to grow, and he's going to grow into an exceptional FLYHALVE. He's going to grow into a world-class FLYHALVE. We all know this is going to happen. So definitely a starter. But the question is who will be there with him, and this was a very, very tough one here. So you're sort of thinking along the lines of someone like Brandon Wilkie, someone that can cover the centre position and the FLYHALVE position. Who's obviously an outstanding prospect, but to me, I went with Colton Bunnies. Now, he played most of his rugby last year in the under-20 competition at centre. At FLYHALVE, at school level, he was an extraordinary talent. One well-known schoolboy rugby website actually ranked him the number one FLYHALVE in the country that year, which is based on a couple of games that he played. He's got equal talent at centre and at FLYHALVE. But I think in terms of adding depth to the squad, he's going to add tremendous depth to the squad. He's a very, very special talent, and I think someone that would definitely deserve a place there. SCRUMHALVES, this is obviously an easy one, guys, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of quality over here. First name on the list, obviously, Nico Steyn. Nico, our MVP winner in 2020, outstanding leader, outstanding character, generally an outstanding rugby player. I always go back to that first game I saw him at the World Schools Festival in 2019, and I knew immediately that this was a future international. So, I mean, there's no question he's going to be part of the squad. And then with them, Bradley Davids, I think these guys are going to have intense competition in the future. I always thought that Nico was a bit ahead of Bradley. And then when I saw Bradley in the under-20 series, I thought to myself, wow, this guy's come on in leaps and bounds. A really special player. Him and Nico are going to push each other to the absolute limit, and they're going to bring out the best of each other as scrum halves. It's going to be such a fascinating journey to see these two develop. And alongside them, guys, another very special talent, and that's Neil LaRue. He has to be there. Definitely the number one scrum half in South Africa last year. A prodigious talent, the heartbeat of that Oakdale team that is generational. Another team very unfortunate not to have seen them play all their games, but I think that it would be a massive mistake if he wasn't a part of the squad, and it also adds continuity for 2023 when he'll be under 20. So you do need that sort of mix of players, under 19s and under 20s. Obviously in some positions there's just not space. You know what I mean? Then moving on to the Loosies, first up, Rynard Mouton. One of the best guys on the ground I've seen. He reminds me so much of Heinrich Bissau at a similar stage in his career. Representing the Bulls with absolute distinction. An absolute leader on the field as well, and a guy that's shown a lot more maturity, than anticipated. Not to say that he was immature before, but I mean his development in terms of his game management and his discipline just went through the roof last year, and that is at under 19, was part of the SA under 20 squad anyway last year, so you definitely know he's going to be there. Next up, Ningiza, another special player, guys. I seriously rate this guy as one of the best young loose forwards on the planet. What was remarkable to me was how the first couple of, the first game specifically, how it was quite difficult for him to adapt. And you must remember that he had a matric year with virtually no rugby. But the way that he grew into his position, the way that he grew into his role was absolutely outstanding. This is a player for the future, guys. There's a massive talent. And, coming from the Eastern Cape, I believe that he was at Port Rex, could barely, afford a pair of boots. And next thing he goes to Maritzburg College, becomes a special player there. This is the epitome of the South African dream, guys. Everyone talks about the American dream. In rugby, we got the South African dream. And Ningiza represents the South African dream. Like how you can get plucked from obscurity and actually become a special player. And there's just so much distance in this guy's future. I really think he could become one of the game's greats. Then Ruan Venter has to be there, guys. Has to be there. I mean, if you think about his journey as well, it's another version of the South African dream. I mean, he's at Sutherland High School in Pretoria. Not a big sporting school. Represented them with distinction, obviously. Moved to Paul Boys. First touch in a Paul Boys jersey, scores a try. And then, goes on to play for the Lions in the under-20 competition while he's still in school, and manages to score a couple of tries there. A lot of people were angry he wasn't in my team of the tournament, but obviously, guys, 2 or 3 games in a tournament such as that, I mean, you have to give it to the guys that have played the full tournament in that sense, but remarkable player, remarkable talent, has to be there. Next up, Sizonke Vumazonke. Another story of the South African dream. Eastern Cape boy, made good. First ever black captain of Grey College, obviously a massive honour. Can play as a lock, so he adds depth over there. Can play as an 8th man, adds depth over there, as a number 7 as well. Can virtually cover, most positions in the forward pack. Outstanding talent, outstanding leader, outstanding character. Definitely an outstanding future. Has to be there. Then Joshua Vreden. Now, this is going to sound like a controversial one, but with Mouton, I expect him to be a starter at number 6, but you need a solid backup at number 6. And Josh didn't really feature because of injury last year. But there's no way in hell that this guy's lost his talent. That's just not happened. I mean, this guy was just an outstanding player at school level. Very, very disciplined player. Very, very mature player. Mature way beyond his years. And I think this injury is just going to, those issues that he's had is just going to make him come back stronger. He would definitely be in any under 20 squad that I'd select. I think he's a very special talent for the future, and let's hope he can stave off any injury concerns and show his worth. Final Lucy, Cameron Undercom. 8th man position at the Bulls is almost a almost one of the most challenging positions at junior level, guys. You got Hardus Rothman there. You got Willie Potgieter there. And I mean, this year you got Abu Ndabambi and Niels Volstring also there. So there's a lot of competition at 8th man, but Cameron basically started almost every game and he represented the team with distinction. We did name him in our team of the tournament because he was simply outstanding. And, you know, you're going to need a specialist 8th man over there to add depth as well. And he can play at number 7 as well. Tremendous player. Someone I feel very strongly that does deserve consideration at the very least. Locks, we start out with the obvious one, our number 1 prospect in 2020, one of the most outstanding young talents in South Africa, Connoe Evans. This is a player that, I mean, you don't even need to think twice. You know he's going all the way in the game. He's just a very, very special talent. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing him, you know, represent the South African under-20 team because I think his lock partner, in terms of a starting 15, the two of them can become a Blokkies and Victor Matfield. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that they've got exactly the same profiles, but I'm saying that they can become a legendary combination, and I rate them both extremely highly. And that player is Reinhard Ludwig. And I've always rated him. I've always thought he's an outstanding lock, but the level of play that I saw from him last year as an under-19 in that Junior Springbok jersey, especially after a year without rugby, the kid represented himself with absolute distinction. To me, he was, you know, just a whisker away from sort of being named in our World Under-20 team on the bench, like literally a whisker away. I think he's an absolutely outstanding talent. And like I said, like I'm not saying that they've got exactly the same profile as Matfield and Boerter, but I think the two of these guys together, they can become a Springbok partnership for the next decade. Seriously, I really do believe that. Next up, Merwe Olivier. And Mav is one of the most hard-working rugby players out there. You know, the guys in the gym virtually every day. Guys go out and have a party, have a beer from what I hear. He's in the gym, very disciplined young guy. Comes from Uitenhage, Brandwag, went over to Grey College. Another guy disappointing not to have a full season. But what he does is he adds that South African grit and that South African steel, especially like as a member of the bomb squad, I think. This guy can come on the field, and those guys that have their bruised bodies, he could just take them. You can take them out. You know, you can basically just, you know, almost single-handedly take out another pack. This guy's got so much power, immense power, and like I said, like a member of the bomb squad, you know, replacing either one of these two doesn't necessarily matter. He's just going to make sure that those guys that, you know, in that final 10, 15 minutes, they're going to feel it. They're going to know he's on the field. And that's why I would add him into in my under-20 squad. Then finally, Coetsee le Roux. Lots of fun locks out there. To me, Coetsee, you need an under-19 in this position there to gain experience so you can lead the next generation the year after. And he would have walked into the SA Schools team very easily last year. But unfortunately, he got injured. He never had a chance to show his full potential. He never had that chance, which is very unfortunate. But he is a hard man of South African rugby. And you just take a look at the quality of these young locks, guys. And I mean, you got to think about all the other young locks that have been left out over here. I mean, there's some outstanding talent over there. You take a look at these four over here. They can do some serious damage. And their style of play complements each other so well. Very excited about it. We've always produced fantastic locks in South Africa, but the future looks rosy, guys. Look at this. Does it not look rosy? Then we go on to the hookers. Keagan Blankenberg would be the sort of choice I'd have. Bupa Vukuzela is someone that I think is outstanding. Obviously, I think he's a great player. But if you take a look at the under-20 tournament last year, Keagan was a standout player. You know, I was quite confused because, you know, on the UCT team, they had him listed down as a flanker. And I thought to myself, that's going to be a very strange positional change for him. But then when he played in the under-20 tournament, he proved that he's the country's premier young hooker. And like I said, representing himself with distinction. You know, we named Jacques Huis in our team of the tournament. Another website named him in the team of the tournament. Either or, both were outstanding in the tournament. And I think Keegan's form and his hard work and his dedication has definitely means that he does deserve a place in the squad at the very least. Then next up, Bryce Calvert, once again, we're talking about that continuity from under 19 to under 20 level. Bryce, definitely the premier hooker in the country last year. Outstanding talent, an absolute monster, powerhouse. Will add a lot of depth to the position as well, because I do assume that Keagan would probably be a starter / mentor to Bryce. I mean, you must remember Bryce hasn't had a lot of rugby for 2 years now, but Bryce is definitely someone with a massive future in the game. I mean, this guy led from the front. I mean, he inspired his troops at Westville like nobody's business, guys. And I mean, you'd be crazy not to have him in the under-20 team next year. He has to be there. And I think these two would complement each other with style. I mean, Keegan's very athletic, gets around the field a lot of pace. And then Bryce comes on and, adds that steel and, steel in the scrum, and obviously a lot of power. That ball carrying is immense. It takes a lot of men to take this man down. So contrasting styles, but I like it. Finally, the props. First up has to be Corne Weilbach. I mean, last year South African under-20 team did struggle a little bit in terms of the scrums, but this was one man that stood tall, in my opinion. He never backed down, and he would just go harder and harder and harder. And to me, it was inspiring to see him play, and to see that character in a man of this age. When your scrum is going backwards and you're playing against some big boys, and you just say, "Stuff it, I'm going all in," and that leadership and that inner strength inspired the rest of his troops, and we actually got a lot of forward ball in terms of the scrums. Through this young talent, and he's someone that I never gave enough credit to at school level. I do admit it, but I mean, come on, guys, we didn't have much to work with in terms of the season and getting to see guys play the full games. But outstanding talent, and definitely the premier young tight head in the country right now. So who's going to be working with him at tight head? My estimation was Seb Lombard. It's interesting because if you take a look at it, Seb wasn't part of the extended squad last year. Suleiman Hartzenberg was. So Suleiman Hartzenberg, logically, you'd say that he'd be on the list. But then you take a look at the Bulls under-20 team, and Seb started virtually every game. And I'll never forget the first time I saw this guy play properly. It was against Monument. And that Monument scrum was deadly. They were known to have a massive forward pack that year, and Seb just made light work of it. He's one of the best young scrummagers in the country, an absolute powerhouse. And you take a look at him and Weilbach together, these two as tight heads. I mean, the future, again, guys, just looking so rosy. There's so much to be excited about in terms of the juniors in South African rugby right now. So first, LOOSIES, a player that massive fan of, not only about his playing ability, but his character as a young man as well. Very humble, very good kid. And he made a positional switch, and that positional switch, I do believe, is going to change his destiny, and that is Heiko Pohlmann. Absolute monster. Now, he was playing tight head at school level, and, I mean, there was just so much competition at tight head. I mean, you got Seb, you got Corne Weilbach, you got Munash Mere, you got Phil Masango. I mean, you got some absolute monsters over there. So in terms of that, where do you go? You know what I mean? And Heiko made the switch to LOOSIES, and I believe it completely clears a pathway for him. He's going to go so far in this game. It's another guy that I sort of discovered at the World Schools Festival, where I was just like, my man, this is a special talent over here. He stood back for nobody. I loved his ball carrying. I loved his aggression. And I think he is going to represent this jersey with distinction. If he's not in the team, Coach Bafana, I think you'd have to be crazy not to have this guy in the team. Then, in terms of the other, LOOSIES, I wanted to go for an under-19. And again, we're talking about continuity for the next year, right? And when you take a look at the quality of LOOSIES last year, there was definitely a lot in last year's under-18 group. Initially, you start looking at a player like Patu Ganyane, who's an absolute monster, who's definitely going to be part of the SA under-20 squad, extended training squad at the very least, you'd expect. But when it comes to someone that I do believe that deserves his ticket to the World Championships, if they happen, I had to go with Blokkies Lavagna. I had to go with Blokkies. I just think he worked so hard. He represented himself with absolute distinction last year. Was definitely one of the form players. Not only in his position in terms of schools rugby last year, but he was, to me, the breakout star. He was absolutely outstanding last year, and that form has to be rewarded. He's going to be on the plane next year anyway, guys. He's going to be part of the SA Under-20 squad next year anyway, with 100% certainty. So let him develop. Be mentored by Heiko, learn from Heiko, work with Heiko, and you're going to have an absolute lethal starter come 2023. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the video. As always, let me know your opinions below. What sort of positions do you think I got right? What did you think I got wrong? Obviously, again, guys, so much talent. I mean, I could name like a 50-man squad, and I'd still leave out so many young, talented players. And so difficult. There's just so much talent, and like I said, the future's looking rosy. The future's looking very exciting. And let's just hope there's a World Championship this year. And if there's not a World Championship, let's hope we can get the English over. Let's hope we can get the Kiwis over. Let's hope we can get the Wallabies over to South Africa. Or we can go there. Doesn't matter. And let's get these boys the competition that they deserve. And, let them develop. Because we can't have another year where they're not playing top quality international teams. I mean, you take a look at the England Under-20 team last year, they performed so well. Those guys have been playing a lot of rugby together at club level, at school level, and I think it's aided the development, and I think it's going to put England in a very strong position in the future. I just want us to have that same opportunity. So let's hope something happens. Anyway, as always, have a fantastic week further. Cheers. Bye.